Hi awesome people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Cynthia Caxton, and on here I talk about all things product. So if you're new here, welcome on board. If you're an OG, thank you for returning and watching my videos. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. So whether you're a budding entrepreneur or a product manager or just curious about how your favorite products were created, this video is for you, because today I will be talking about converting an idea into a product, and that is the product development life cycle. So I won't be wasting much of your time. Let's get right into the video. Talking about product development life cycle, right? There are usually 5 stages in the product development life cycle. First is brainstorm, second is define, third is design, fourth is test, and then fifth is launch. So let's start with the first stage, which is the brainstorming stage. So I believe that for every great product, right, it started with an idea. Your brainstorming stage is usually the conceptualization stage, and in the conceptualization stage you're basically just exploring your ideas, right? You're doing research, you're identifying market needs, right? You want to ask questions around the who, the why, the what, the where, and the when, right? Those are called the 5 W's. Now you want to also make sure that the solution you're trying to provide actually solves a particular problem. Say for example, I'm trying to develop a product, right? I want to know who my target audience are, what their needs are, and how my solution is actually solving for that particular needs. In the brainstorming stage, you make sure you do your research properly. Moving on to the second stage of the product development life cycle, which is the define stage. You want to make sure that you've done your research and you've identified market needs. Then you can go back to the board and begin your planning and analysis. In the define stage, you mostly do activities like market analysis and feasibility studies. You want to also clearly define your problem statement, set goals, and also identify the project scope. You want to also go as far as doing a risk analysis and creating mitigation strategy in the define stage. On to the third stage of the product development life cycle, which is probably my favorite part, the design stage. So with the design stage, this is where you bring your ideas to life. All the research, all the goal setting, the scoping, etc. This is where it comes to life. Now with the design stage, you're not just only designing, right? You're doing other things like stakeholder engagement, information architecture, maybe site mapping, user flows, etc. You are also designing the actual product, like prototypes. You are also developing the product, which has to do with working with cross-functional teams like designers, product managers, stakeholders, developers, front end, back end, DevOps, and even QA testers, because it's a collaborative process, right? You're working with so many people, and it depends on which side of the fence you are, if you're a product manager or if you are the owner of the idea, maybe a stakeholder. So this might actually vary, right? And in the design stage, you would mostly be designing, refining, iterating on, the product or the idea that you're trying to, bring to life. And this is a very interesting stage. I don't know for others, but for me personally, I absolutely love the design stage. Maybe it's because of my background in product design, but I always get excited about it. Okay, so moving on to the fourth stage, which is the testing stage. Very, very crucial. So the testing phase is usually the stage where you do a quality assurance for your product. Now, before you unleash your product to the market, you want to make sure it undergoes rigorous testing, right? You have to break that product, put it back together, make it or break it, because you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there in the market is reliable, has high performance, and is safe, right? So with the testing phase, it's usually not as bad as they sound, right? But you have to make sure that you conduct like usability tests, where you invite people to use your product either in a moderated or an unmoderated setting. You have to also do a performance test. You have to do a stress test also for your product. So generally with the testing, it just have to do with making sure that you're putting out the best value in the market, because believe me, there are other people who have similar ideas or who already have a product that does the same thing as yours. So you need to make sure that your product is performing at its best. It has undergone all the necessary tests and it's still standing solid. Again, it's either you make it or you break it at the testing point. Okay, all right, so moving on to the last, well, it depends on how we see it, because honestly for me the fifth stage of the product development life cycle, which is the launch stage, is actually the beginning of the end, right? So because as you launch, you begin all over again, right? So yes, so let's look at the launch phase of the product development life cycle. The launch phase is where we actually put our product out there. So we have gone from brainstorming, defining the product, designing the product, testing the product. Now we feel like, we're ready for our product to go live. Your launch can either be, a grand unveiling or a soft launch. But I believe that the purpose for every product launch is to create, an excitement and buzz around that particular product. And launching it doesn't just stop at launch. You have to create marketing campaigns. You have to train people on how to use it. Maybe you have a staff or something. You have to train them on how to use it. And you need to also keep up with, the metrics. For your launch, you don't have to have everything ready. Create a minimum viable product that you can put out there and then make incremental development to that product. Okay, so I think we have successfully covered all 5 product development life cycle. So but I'm going to just throw it in there, which is the post-launch. What happens after you launch? So when you launch, I think you start all over from the beginning. You want to also start with researching on how to better fit into the market, how to supersede your competitors. You want to do all sorts of research that are necessary. Another thing is you want to also monitor the progress and performance of that product, right? So I believe from the beginning, you've already set like goals and success metrics. You want to make sure you're monitoring that against, what the performance of that product is. So for example, if you have already outlined that in the span of say 3 months you want to have acquired like 5,000 users, so you want to make sure you go back to that and look at it. Have you actually acquired 5,000 users? Are those users active users? Because it's a different thing for people to download your product online and then actually use it. So with the post-launch, you want to make sure that you are closely monitoring your product, you're checking the performance, you're thinking on how to create more value for your consumers by creating new features, by updating previous features or existing features. You just want to make sure that your product is top-notch in the market. So this brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. In the meantime, stay frosty. Bye.